छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा मस्ती भरे मन की भोली सी आशा चांद तारों को छूने की आशा आसमानों में उड़ने की आशा दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा मस्ती भरे मन की भोली सी आशा दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to International Women's Day 2021, a celebration of womanhood, a reflection of social realities, truths, issues and solution alternatives as we dive through the challenges and ignominies of life while staying positive and motivated and paying tribute to all women who work hard to break the glass ceiling for themselves and inspire others. We are here today to explore the broad spectrum in human behavior and society at large as we look through the journey of a female as a woman. We will also be gearing our discussions towards multifaceted and result-oriented approaches on women issues in conversation with our esteemed panelists who I'll be introducing shortly. After the women empowerment discussion, our next topic would touch down upon the pandemic and how it has influenced us all to make changes in our lifestyle, including the help extended. Last but not the least, we will have a look at the financial markets with focus on women. Thereafter, depending upon the time, we will open the floor for a free-flowing discussion on any other social topics that our organizers would like to bring up. Once again, I, Jasleen Khanuja, CEO of Yo India TV, would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you at the virtual International Women's Day 2021 celebrations. I'll be your moderator this evening. This event has been organized by social activists of USA from International Women's Platform and International Punjabi Pageant, a non-profit organization promoting Punjabi culture in the USA and other countries, led by none other than Miss K. Walia, Miss Parmeet Randhawa and Miss Sharan Gill. Many of you know Kay as a Punjabi and a Hollywood actress. Her stage play and movie Tiyan Marjaniyan that she produced alongside her talented husband, late Shri Ray Walia, was based on a very sensitive social issue of female infanticide and has won many awards on national and international platforms. Her Hollywood movie Slama Jama also portrayed her as a fine actress and ran pretty successfully in American cinema halls. Kay, thank you for putting together this beautiful event. I would request you to put your welcome note to all audience, please.
Thank you, Yo India Television, for covering us. Thank you, Jasleen. You're always part of the community, and it's always a wonder to work with you. You're such a very inspirational woman yourself. And whenever I look at you, it also motivates me to do a lot of the stuff for the community, and you do a lot of the seva for the community. I myself, I think you already told a lot more than I could say. First of all, I want to welcome every one of you, Sukhi, Dr. Japra, Joanne, Henu, Neetu, and the rest of the panelists. Thank you so much for coming and standing with us, shoulder to shoulder, to promote women empowerment. As all you know that, us, I am not going to say me, because just we do need a man in our life in order to keep us together. And that is what makes the family together. I'm not saying that women and women cannot do it, but still. But that is my belief. And this is the one event, actually two events, with the women empowerment as well as the international beauty pageant. For me, myself and Sharon, we share our community thoughts And we work along with them in trying to bring the talent out and also educating the women, as well as educating the men, how we can be all work together and be successful in the community. And this is what this event is all about. We work together. I do a lot of the charity stuff with women. For example, I'm just going to give you a very simple example. There was a 90-year-old woman. I could not go last year because of the pandemic, and the flight got canceled on March 14 as I was leaving. And that 90-year-old woman had a dream that she wanted to go to Amritsar, that she was never stepped out of her village. Can you imagine a 90-year-old woman who has never been stepped out of her own village? She got married in the same village and she stayed in the same village. And that was her dream. For me to fulfill her dream, I would have done anything to put a smile on her face. So I took 80 or 90-year-olds, and the bus was totally full, to Amritsar as well as to Bogab Water. And just watching their smile, for me, it was heart touching. And, this is the kind of stuff that I like to see to be done in the community. We're all very happy and well settled in our own life. There were so many people who needs that little helping hand. And I think that is something that we can all do. It doesn't take much to put a smile on somebody's face. It doesn't have to be a financial thing. It can be just a simple holding someone's hand and say, you know what, I'm here with you. And I'm going to end up tell you this one little quote that I always believe in. I don't want you to save me. I'm well able to take care of myself. I don't want you to save me. I want you to stand by me, by my side, as I save myself. And this is what I believe in. And thank you again for everyone coming, and really appreciate you guys to be here with us. Thank you, Jasleen.
Wonderful. And I'll move on to Ms. Parmeet Randhawa. So Parmeet, International Punjabi Pageant has been your brainchild and has garnered tremendous community support as it has successfully carried forward the Indian and the Punjabi culture on an international platform. So today you're one of the organizers. Would you like to set the stage for today's event before I go ahead and introduce our esteemed guests?
Sure. First, I'd like to welcome all distinguished panelists on this International Women's Day. And I would like to also bring Dr. Japra, Dr. Harmesh Kumar, our panelist. I think we have a new panelist. Is it Hinu? Hinu?
It's Hinu. Thank you for asking. It's Hinu.
And our partners, Kevalia and Sharon, I'm sorry, who's not here today, and Ritesh, who ran for congressman recently. For us to do these events, there's a cause behind it. We like to promote not only just one focus, we got to promote what is good for the whole society, what is good for women. Women are very much part of it. And where we see that there's areas, some issues lacking, and that we need to support that, we need to bring that up in the society. Okay, with equal pay or maybe gender inequality exists here. So we have to fill those gaps and spread the awareness, what's good for us, what's not good for us. Unless we speak up, unless we are bold enough to put something out there, this is good, this is bad, things will not change. And women will have to change themselves. Most of the time, what I see in the society is women, the changes will have to come from women. I've been in roles that most of my help have always come from men, not women. So women sometimes play adversary to their own gender. So that needs to change. So I set the stage for that. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And we would like to move forward with the discussion today.
Wonderful. And as she mentioned, Sharon is also one of our organizers. I'd like to take her name and give her due credits as well. And let me throw some light on the diverse group of panelists that we have here this evening. Our fab featured guests are the people who have a clout to get you the true perception of things happening around us, events that have been impacting the community's political moves that have a bearing on the social hygiene and well-being of different segments with a special focus on the fair gender. The females who still fall victims and preys when 21st century seems to be way advanced and gender equality is deemed to be imbibed in the educated class as a way of life. Our first guest of honor is Ms. Hinu Kotia, who is an e-commerce supply chain and merchandising leader currently working as a director at Walmart Labs in Silicon Valley. She is passionate about building high-performing teams, fostering collaboration between product engineering, UX and business teams to deliver seamlessly on business and technical commitments. Welcome Hinu, and thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Jasleen. Super excited to be a part of this event. So thank you for making me a part of this and giving me a platform to speak alongside all of you very experienced and accomplished people. I feel it's a starting point for me and looking forward to hearing from you all and embarking upon this journey of being a good citizen. Thank you.
Wonderful. And Mr. Ritesh Chandan is a US politician and entrepreneur. He recently contested election for Congress position from Bay Area, California, District 17. Due to his leadership, Cupertino schools will stay open and not shut down due to insufficient funding during Corona crisis. He has also successfully fought for beating Prop 16, which is a race-based discrimination against Asian children. He has also been serving the society from many decades via leadership positions on multiple non-profit organizations. Welcome Ritesh, we are very pleased to have you as a panelist this evening.
Thank you so much, Jasleen, and thank you so much all the organizers for recognizing this day, because this is so important. And I'm very honored to be here to be part of this event, and I'm looking forward for our discussion here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Our next renowned guest is Dr. Romesh Japra, the founder and chairman of the non-profit Federation of Indo-Americans FIA and the Festival of Globe FOG, that is well known for putting together USA's biggest India Day Parade and Mela in Fremont to celebrate India's Independence Day every year. Dr. Japra also started the Fremont Hindu Temple many decades back, and last year he has founded the PAC, Americans for Hindus, A4H, to bring the voice of Hindus and India back in North American politics. Welcome, Dr. Japra.
Thank you, Jasleen. Wonderful to be part of this. Little funny, I'm here virtually. I've been attending this in person for many years with Purmeet and Kay and Sharon. But anyway, we'll make the best of it.
Wonderful. We are also honored to have today with us Mr. Sukhi Chahal, who is the chairman of non-profit organizations Khalsa Today and Punjab Foundation, and has been working pretty closely with the Consulate General of India in San Francisco to vouch for NRI rights and help both people of Indian origin in US and the government of India to tap public concerns and issues of national importance. Welcome Sukhi. How's the field this evening?
Very good. Thank you, Jasleen. Thank you very much. And it's glad to be part of this whole delegation. And as Kay Walia said, even if I cannot fight for everybody, at least we can stand by. So I think this is the time, and so we have to call out. Whenever we see any injustice, it's time to call out, actually. So what is happening, actually, so we have to work together. Really appreciate, actually, so glad to be part of this, the program. Thank you.
Wonderful. Famous US attorney Ms. Joanne Babiak, whose area of expertise is family law, encompassing high conflict, divorce, parental child kidnap cases, post-dissolution disputes, small business protections and contracts, is also a board member of the non-profit Community Violence Solutions, formerly known as the Rape Crisis Center. This organization operates in Marin and Contra Costa counties of California to end sexual assault and family violence through prevention, crisis services, and treatment. Welcome, Joanne. Glad to have you on board this evening.
Thank you so much. And I really am very humbled to be in the presence of such amazing speakers, so wonderful. And also, not only the organizers, but the audience, because it is you who are going to carry this message and all the messages that you absorb from today into new places so that other people can learn we're better together.
Absolutely. And we have Miss Neelu Gupta, who is the torchbearer of Hindi in USA. She has been teaching Hindi in De Anza College, Cupertino from many years now and is also the trailblazer for the non-profit Upma, which is engaged in providing free education, food, clothes, healthcare, etc. to the poor kids back in India. This year, she has also been bestowed with the prestigious Pravasi Bharatiya Samman from the President of India, Shri Ram Nath Kovind. So, Swagatam Neelu ji.
Thank you, Jasleen. And I'm really honored to be here for this International Women's Day. As others also say that though it's International Women's Day, but for us, men and women both are same and both goes together. Without each other, we cannot do anything. And our hero, Dr. Ramesh Jhapra, we always appreciate him. That he's all the time he's there to help us whenever we need. And I also try to be help whatever in way I can do. When people ask me when can we phone you, I say 24/7. For me 24/7 is good. And nowadays in Corona days, as I told you, I'm doing many webinars in the night time, sometimes 12, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, 4 o'clock, whenever, because India is daytime and California is night time. So I'm always there and I'm working for Hindi, as you know. So sabko, everybody is, every language is good, not only Hindi, not only Punjabi, all, we respect all the languages and everybody is doing their work. You people are doing for Punjabi, we are doing for Hindi, some people are doing for Bengali, for Tamil, Telugu. So all language are same, we should respect each other. That's my message to the community. Thank you very much.
Perfect. And once again, welcome aboard. So here comes the very first slide. How do you look at a woman? You know, a woman can be a path breaker, a history creator, like we have Kamala Harris, first woman vice president. You can see a woman is a life giver. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. We all know Aishwarya Rai, Miss World. And we also see belly dancer who is a woman. So, you know, there can be different perceptions about women, as we also see here. A woman can be an army man, she can be an engineer, she can be an educationist, and there are bombshells and other kinds of women as well, right? So women can do a lot of work. They can be doctors and they can be entertainers. Some forms of women, as you see here, are, you know, the Little Mermaid, you know. The context of children's entertainment is especially important for all of us because young minds are highly impressionable and cartoons have been known to play a pedagogical role in childhood development. The Little Mermaid has been criticized, however, because it tells a story of a young woman, Ariel, the mermaid of small stature, who gives up her natural identity as a mermaid in order to meet the preferences of her love interest, a human male. And it can be Bharat Mata, who we see with a lot of respect, right? And women can be cultural representatives, of course. A woman with the bindi, we all know, is an Indian woman. We also see and we all know Queen Elizabeth from UK, right? And there are women who make us exclaim. We all know Mother Teresa, Florence Nightingale and Lata Mangeshkar. They are women who have excelled in their respective fields. Now here comes a slide where I will invoke panelist view. You know, when you see the countries with the best ranking for women, you know, according to the 2020 survey, based on these factors, you know, care about human rights, gender equality, income equality, progress, including education and safety, Scandinavian women are deemed to be the happiest. You know, Scandinavia is Denmark, Norway and Sweden. So Dr. Jhapra, I would like to start with you. When you look at these factors here, how do you think India and US are compared to these Scandinavian countries?
Thank you, Jasleen. First of all, congratulations to all the women on this International Women's Day. Like I said earlier, I've been used to celebrating women in person. We've been having live performances, not only just having a lot of fun, but also empowering women in the real sense. For many, many years, Parmeet started this thing, and of course, Kay has joined, and it's been a great, great journey over the years. But coming back to your question, the Scandinavian women have been liberalized actually a lot more than many other parts of the world, and specifically, with our culture from India, we have always placed women not at the equal level of men, but even at a higher level. Right from the beginning, it's, and any other culture has been gods, it's probably always men, but we've had goddesses all the time in our culture, right from the beginning. And the kind of respect, especially because as a mother, it can be only a woman, cannot be a man, which that kind of respect has been given. But at the same time, everybody knows, saying is one thing and doing is another thing. And so that we can bring everybody to the level of not only at the men's level, but also higher level, which we claim, it still needs a lot of work, and that work has been going on. We have come a long way, but a long way to go. Just by celebrating these kind of things, discussing them, bringing them out in the open, and making sure that we all work, not just the women to work. Of course, they have to get empowered, and I'm so glad to see many, many empowered women over here, and they need to help empower the rest of them out there so that we can be better than Scandinavian countries. America also, like you just mentioned, now Kamala Harris, the first time a vice president, is a woman in this country. I think still long way to go, but things are happening, and a lot more will happen as we go along, hopefully, in front of our eyes. And as a person, as an activist, as a community worker, I have always tried to help for the last 36 years. I remember, I did not even believe those days in domestic violence when the women came to me, and we started this group called ASRA. And a lot of people hated me, especially all the men hated me because I was supporting them, helping them. But we've been doing it, and since then have been celebrating women in all our festivals. We always put them right up front, and they've been helping us all the time. It's not just been a man's show. The women have played a major, major role, and we have tried to help them, not just socially, but bringing even politically, economically, and wherever we can help. We've been doing that, and a lot more need to be done. I think we need to mobilize a lot more people. So from gender equality, this is what we've been talking about. As far as the human rights goes, I think it goes hand in hand. As long as we are willing to walk with the women hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, step by step, and making sure we even put them ahead of us, make sure they get the education, the right education, and not just sit home and make them say that you don't need to get that kind of education, what men has been doing. In Scandinavian countries, some of these women, they have lot more doctors, women than even men. I think the same thing is happening. We are finding out in India as well as America. Being a cardiologist myself, I remember 40 years ago it was not the case, but things have changed. A lot of women are going into medicine, into IT, and some of the fields where they never thought the women will get involved, whether it's a space or some of these IT areas, women are going there. So it's great to see that, and we are all with you. Just like Neelu ji said, we are 7/24 available in whichever way we can. And with your next question, I'll probably share some more thoughts as well. But right now, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, and we truly get that in US also pretty good progress has been made, and especially your organization has also come forward in a big way in achieving some of these objectives of womanhood. So thank you, Dr. Japra. And this slide, as you see, is also focused on some of the topics, some of the aspects that we associate with women. Women are shopaholic, and as you see in the picture, woman is holding a lot of shopping bags. A lot of e-commerce industries are also heavily relying upon women to do more and more shopping, and their main source of revenue generation is women, not men. And I think that's a proven fact. Maybe Hinu, who belongs to the e-commerce space, can share more on this. Hinu, would you like to throw some light?
Yeah, thanks, Jasleen. Now, obviously, we kind of all know, being in the industry, e-commerce it finally took over the decade, but it seems to be picking up on speed in recent years, and especially last year with the pandemic hitting us. As consumers, women have an enormous impact on the economy. In fact, some of the numbers I was seeing, women drive 70 to 80% of consuming purchasing as per Forbes. And companies are definitely benefiting from women. However, if I flip this and talk about women leaders, and I being one of a women leader in e-commerce and digital space, only 4.2% of Fortune 500 companies are run by women. And research also says businesses with heavier female presence are more profitable. So they definitely should more have a say on the table. And there are many success stories with women, and one of the case studies I was looking at was Birchbox. Very interesting, because when we go online and we're searching for products and sampling new products, I being one of that consumer, they came up with a solution that lets consumers try different products without breaking the bank. So they helped initiate this subscription model. And these company founders, led by women, Katya Buchamp and Haley Barna, who met at Harvard, they managed to lure 1 million subscribers to the site, raising $80 million in venture capitalists since 2010. So despite these success stories, there's still being big changes that need to be made to the top of businesses, and it's happening. It appears e-commerce really is updating the traditional structures that often hold women back. In my workplace, there's a lot of training available for grooming women leaders and preparing them for leadership roles. So the key takeaway from some of these businesses in the online is that women are key to changing nature of how we shop, both as a consumer and as an entrepreneur. So, yeah.
Yeah, those were some fantastic insights. Thank you so much. And then there are other opinions as well. And I would like to elicit view of our viewers, our panelists on this. Women are fashionista. So who would like to take? I would keep it as an open question for any panelist who would like to take it. Maybe Sukhi, you want to go with it? Do you believe that women are fashionista?
I think, yeah, it is. That's a reality, actually. I don't think so there's anything wrong about that. Mm-hmm. And even in the shopping, because if they don't spend, so then men, they will not even work hard, actually. So I think there has to be somebody, actually. So somebody has to work hard and somebody has to spend.
That was truly interesting.
Yeah, so I think I fully support that, actually. So the balance has to be there. Otherwise, like economy will not work. If we just keep on making money, actually, so nobody's gonna spend. I think we have to support. They are happy with that, and they are happy in the fashion in the fashion side, and also on the shopping side. And so I don't see anything wrong with that.
Wonderful. And then, yeah, you want to add something, Ritesh?
I just want to add this thing that women are very creative. They want to bring change. They want to look different. And I can say that because of this inner capabilities and inner skills, they shop around. And I want to tell you that Amazon and all these companies, they need to thank women, because even though this pandemic, because of them, they are successful.
Agree. Yeah, that was really good, and I think it was good on a light note and on a positive note. And then, as you see, women are sometimes considered more mature than men. There are sayings like boys will be boys. And Neeluji, as a woman who has, 3 boys herself, who are also married, what do you think about this statement?
Oh, yeah, very good question, Jasleen. Today is special day for International Women's Day, so even if I'm not agreed, but I have to agree today that women are more mature than men to give boost to the women today. But as men has 3 letters and women has 5 letters, so it means they are, without saying, they are more mature than men because they are more patient, they are more, they have the soft heart, and they do the upbringing of the children, and they have to go with all kind of problems they have to solve. So I think God has made them like that. They perform their duties. I believe that they are more mature than me.
Okay, wonderful. Anyone else? Any views?
Yes, I have a question for Neeluji. Neeluji, you've been teaching this. Have there been any studies done to show us the differences between the maturity, whether women are more mature than men? I'm just curious.
I feel so, because I feel myself more mature than the men. So I feel they are more mature. But you are right. You cannot say it 100%. Somewhere you feel the men are more mature, and somewhere you feel the women are more mature. But still, because women take both the housework and the field work also, and men generally, mostly they are working only field work, not in the household work. So women has to do both the responsibilities, and that way I can say they are more mature than men. This is my.
Basically, you are saying, Neeluji, that there is more multitasking and more varied kind of tasks that women undertake, and therefore the maturity level is obvious. And I also see some hands raised on the audience side. So right now we are not opening the floor for audience, and you are free to put in your comments in the chat section. And I'll go ahead with the next slide unless any other panelist has any other views on these interesting topics.
Actually, I'm going to make it. You're so right. Today the women are a lot different than like myself, my generation. The new generation is even more different. When I see my kids and the girls at home, they are a lot more mature than, I guess maybe it's the nature's way that, when we, in a young age, you have children and you have so many responsibilities. And I think that is something is built into a woman. And today's world, yes, the fashion is very important. And, even us, our generation is like changed so much that we like to see more changes in our generation. Never mind the next generation. But I think it would be so much wonderful when women start taking care of themselves. They're still handling the household, still handling, the family. So, Neelu, you're right. I think we women are a lot more mature than the men. I'm not saying that the men are not mature. I'm sure they're very mature. But I think we women somehow is a natural God's way that, we take responsibility very seriously, But then, of course, there is always a downside of everything. So,
God gift.
Yeah.
No, KG.
We're God's gift, okay? We're God's gift.
Today is the Women's Day, so that's why we will definitely give the benefit of doubt.
Stay quiet? Okay. All right, let's get on to some serious topics by and by. I'll start with some historical moments. Women got voting right in US in 1920 via the 19th Amendment. Wyoming Territory is first to grant women the vote in 1869, and first Women's Rights Convention was held in New York in 1848. and it's really worth mentioning here Sojourner Truth, American women's rights activist and abolitionist, and she is the first African American woman to have a statue in the Capitol building, and her Anti-a-Woman amazing speech at the Women's Convention in Ohio in 1851 is still remembered by a lot of Americans. So she's the woman who has really made a mark in terms of women empowerment activists. Moving on, let's get on with the fact check. Nevada is the only US state that allows legal brothels, and it is ranked 4th out of the 50 US states for sexual assault crimes. Now, I have here 3 different views and 3 different discussion points per se. When you look at this fact, now in alignment with this, what's your view on view 1? Which is that prostitution and equality for women cannot exist simultaneously. Who's gonna talk about this? It's an open question for any panelist who would like to take it. It's more about women equality.
It's pretty tough. It's a very tough issue. If we have Dr. Jasleen, we have a Dr. Kumar on the line, and he may be able to address this issue better than I. I mean, I have views on this, but I would like for him to say something on it. Can he participate on Zoom?
Yeah, then we have to promote him to the panelist. So while we are doing that, Joanne, why don't you take this question?
Joanne,
this is a very difficult and often laced with politics question, and I will answer from the perspective of a practitioner of law who helps women who are experiencing oppressive conditions in the home. That is somewhat different than asking prostitution and equality of women and whether they can exist simultaneously. But my takeaway for people who are listening is you are better than you think and stronger than you believe when you must deal with the anger and oppression that sometimes happens in a relationship with your spouse. And it is very important that you stand up, take action, and move into a safer spot if you are experiencing any kind of abuse, be it emotional, sexual, or physical.
Okay, wonderful. Dr. Kumar, would you like to express your views on this as well?
Before I start, I want to thank Parmeet ji and the organization for doing such a wonderful job over the years. And most of you are aware of it. Few people I don't know in the from the panel, but most of you I do. And most of you know that I'm clinical neuropsychologist and also community mental health professional. I work for the community, with the community over the years, and worked with Dr. Japra over the years, more than 30 years now, doing the Festival of India, doing the health fair programs. And now I ran my own nursing homes, but now I'm consulting in the prison industry and with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. And what you are talking about, I see most of the women in the prison, and also most of the men, those who have been ostracized, excommunicated for getting into these kind of thing. But as the panelist earlier said, that most of these women, those who get into this kind of prostitution profession, they have been experiencing trauma from the childhood. And whenever majority of the women, those who got into this kind of sexual prostitution industry, they have been sexually abused when they were little kids. And we need to pay attention to that. Unless we eradicate the trauma from the childhood, we cannot expect not to have this kind of industry in the world. At the same time, that trauma we see, and even in the prison, most of the people in the prison have childhood traumas, and they didn't get the parenting, they didn't get the kind of thing, and the community at large, United States being the capitalistic capital of the world, we have less and less safety net available to these people. We have very fragmented system in America providing mental health services. As we have done wonderful job, and Biden administration is doing, and Kamala Harris administration doing a wonderful job on this vaccine distribution and vaccination of the United States population. We have to do the same kind of public outreach for the mental health. And as if we don't do the public outreach for the mental health, we are going to suffer. Our souls are going to be suffering. There are so many souls as Biden, when he was complaining, he said, oh, he's going to fight for the soul of the nation. And once we're talking about the soul, it doesn't belong to any particular, as you know, in Indian mythology, soul is permanent. Our bodies are temporary abode of the soul. And we change one cloth from one life to another with another cloth. So when we're talking about the soul, it doesn't recognize any race, it doesn't recognize any gender, it doesn't recognize any kind of a nationality. It is a universal thing. It's an energy. And once we are able to focus on that soul energies, we will be able to do better in these things. And then gender, I see so many kind of men, those who are kind of given the body of a woman in the men's prison, and they have been assaulted again and again and again. Now from January of this year, they have started putting those men, those who are in the body of a woman, into women prison. I have few women where I am working now, and they are trying to put them in women's prison because to protect them from assaultive behavior of these other men, those who are in that prison system. So it's a very complicated, very difficult issue. It's an emotionally laden issue. As somebody said, it's also a political issue. Politician has played football with this over the centuries. In India, we have Red District in Mumbai, in New Delhi, and all other big cities of India. And unless we do something collectively, only then we could change the world and change the system to create more love and more nurturance for these women, those who are, so that they don't get into those kind of profession, and we take care of them before.
Absolutely. And I see, Hinu, you have raised your hand, so you want to say something, you want to add something here?
Yeah, I wanna go to the next point also around the Me Too movement and others. Mm-hmm. I do feel that some abuse survivors have cited Me Too as a stressful influence, saying it resurfaced the pain of their abuse. And others have reported feeling less alone, saying it encouraged them to address past trauma by talking to loved ones, counselors, or people with similar experiences. But we have to remember that this is not a witch hunt, and oftentimes fake accusations undermine genuine accusers, whether for personal, vindictive reasons or for political, strategic reasons. A woman will falsely accuse a high-profile man of sexual misconduct. The story will get attention, and then when it's proven to be fake, the backlash will begin. And the response will quickly be, you see, all these stories aren't true. Women are making it up. So, And the next fear is that men will get so nervous that they're going to be accused of harassment that they will simply stop hiring, meeting, or socializing with female colleagues. So there are reports that is already happening. We will get shut out of the room where important decisions are made because men fear our presence. So how ironic is that? So this is not a witch hunt. So we have to be cognitive of using these movements appropriately so they can be more effective.
Very nice. I think that was a great. Yeah, you want to add something?
I wanted to compliment him. She put it very well. This Me Too movement has some disadvantage to us as women. And as she said, they shut the door on us, saying that, what if some person is going to come and accuse me? Even a simply handshake, you have to be very careful. These issues are impacting women in employment in most of the areas.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add, Jasleen, that I see that the recent case of Governor Cuomo, where 5 women, they stand up. And also in the past, we have seen the US athletics, they stand up at the end. And I've seen that the women actually, they suffer. They actually try to remain quiet. They think that things are going to work against them. If they raise the voice, they will lose the position, they will lose the jobs. So today I can see that there is no actually infrastructure in the country, and this I've seen in the United States as well, where they can confidentially go and take the action against the person who is harassing. In fact, there need to be some legislation and some law which can protect the woman by bringing those things up so that they are safe. I see that when Kumo, the first lady who reported, she was transferred and then she moved out of the administration. Basically, in short, she lost the job. So, in fact, now when two women, 3, 5, now today is 5 women actually speaking against Kumo. So I want to say like some legislation and something we have to have for more protection for the woman. Because today they are supporting the family, they are supporting doing their work, they are executing their tasks, but at the same time, they are also, I can say, suffering from all this poor corporate culture where they remain quiet and they don't make a noise if something happened wrong. Some of them are very brave women, they make and they fight for it. But I think I still believe 70 to 80% women, they suffer, and we need more legislation around that.
Very nice point, Ritesh. Thanks so much. And as you see, view number 3, redefining womanhood and femininity should not focus on lesbians, transgender women, and gender reassignment surgeries. So whether LGBT plus people, I would say, are all inclusive in their run and revolution and optimization and betterhood of womanhood and femininity or not, that is again a question where some people vouch for LGBT plus rights, whereas some people like to keep them away as a symbol of hatred and shun their presence in the society. So, Ritesh, would you also take this question here?
So my thought on this is, God has given one life to everyone, and it is the person's decision how they want to live their life. And if somebody is living the way they want to be, you and me don't have any right to dictate what he or she should do. So in fact, what I believe that the focus, what is given to the woman, all the rights, the same right need to be extended. And I can say that these people are also human beings and need to be treated equally and respectfully, every place in every location. That's what I want to say, Jasleen.
And Dr. Japra, you are from medical background, you're a doctor, so anything you would like to add here?
Yeah, it's a really tough. I think we are finding out. It's nice to be what Ritesh said, sympathetic and be open and liberal about this ideology that transgender is okay, lesbianism and all these things are okay. Even in our culture, good old culture, this has been accepted. In some of these other religions, it's a no-no. And the women, empowerment or liberalism states that it should be allowed. And we're finding some surgically now, especially from a medical point of view, some of these things which are being taught in schools and especially teenagers when they're trying to change their minds, and there's so much peer pressure and everything else. I think it's causing a lot of problems. And even progress of women, especially in athletics, I think somebody alluded to it earlier, is causing problem too. You know, some of the men who think they, would like to live like a woman, and then they can be part of the, athletics amongst women. And we are finding out that none of the women will become the best athlete or best runner or best tennis player or anything. It'll be all those transgender, because biologically, unfortunately or fortunately, there is a difference. From maturity, another point of view could be, but biologically, there's no question, because of the hormones and everything else and the way the genes are. Still, there's a lot of differences. So they'll be difficult to put them on the equal footing in those areas. So I think we need to redefine those areas and make sure that they do not conflict with the equality which we have been talking about, and that's why they need to be separated at that point. I mean, that's the only thing I can say.
I agree with Dr. Japra. I think what it does is it just backfires. Again, we need gender equality, but that doesn't mean that we are supposed to be using bathroom, women go to men's bathroom, men go to women's bathroom. I mean, there's a distinguished differences in both areas. I'm dead against having one bathroom I would not want my daughter to be using men's bathroom, period. And likewise, I would not want my boys to be using girls' bathroom. A civil issue.
Yes, that's a civil issue. Perfect. And we get to some terrible weaknesses here,
The question still stands. Why do discriminatory practices continue to occur? What leads to the educated men belittle the human beings in a given setting? Why, in fact, some women continue to demean younger, or so to say, the weaker girls for the sake of selfishness? Is the human biological system sole source of provocative behavior? Is oppression a source of satisfaction and happiness for some people? Would you openly call such folks sick or mentally ill, or would you put it the other way around, as the victim being sick and provocative? International Women's Day, in my opinion, should simply be a celebration of the journey of a woman. Journey of a woman from being a daughter to a wife to a mother to a grandmother. But why do all such thought-provoking issues strike a chord in our mind and heart? Are they so pervasive?
And that is our next question. Here are some of the viewpoints which people consider as comparable weaknesses. Are women feeble? Are women weak? What are the checks and what are the things that you don't believe for women to be considered weak or feeble? Or you think W for woman is not W for weak, whereas it should be W for win? What's your take on this?
No, definitely. I don't think women are weak. I think there's it's a shame because there's a lot of internalized misogyny. We as a woman have as well. It's the prejudiced behavior women project upon ourselves and other women. For example, strong female friendship. The very idea that a woman can unconditionally support each other's success and exist as mutually empowered individual upsets the society. We are brought up feeling like the world is against us, the women are catty and there's stir drama, when in reality there's enough space for all of us to feel whole without tearing each other apart. Another example is cooking, right? Growing up, I witnessed a stark division of labor in my household. Despite being working professional, my mother and grandmother would be the ones planning our meals. The kitchen was their domain and cooking was their duty. So I think a lot of feminism, it kind of includes internalized misogynists with ruined feminisms. So we need to change that, the core of that, before others can start seeing us as not weak. But I definitely feel women are not weak. We spoke about them being more mature than men, stronger. So I disagree with that, but we need to start internalizing it first so that, others can reflect what the truth is.
Absolutely. So, how rosy do you think is the picture for women empowerment today? Gender equality, how much is it a reality? And anyone on the panel who would like to take?
I would like to address that, if I might.
Mhm.
I think that it is important to take a look at how economy is tied to the woman's ability to go forward with her education, with her family. There's a lot to juggle, and with her personal growth. I see the most success in the work that I do when people become empowered through the adversity of coming into a different place in life than what they anticipated. I also see that in the terrain of loss. If somebody has lost a spouse, for example, it is a tremendous strength that needs to be nurtured and developed, and the way we do that often is together. Women helping women without regret and without competition. There are people who can open the doors for what you call the rosy future. And I would suggest that everybody has the strength within them to nurture somebody else and to give somebody else that opportunity to grow.
That's right. And I appreciate your view here. And all I would say is that we should shun negativity. Every happy friend increases our chances of being happy by 11%. But we need only one sad friend to double our chances of being unhappy. So stay happy and spread happiness. Bottom line, transmute or metamorphose negativity since it rapidly multiplies. Get away with internalized misogyny or oppressive prejudices that tie to psychological distress, including body shame, sexual objectification, disordered eating, anxiety, lack of self-confidence and low esteem, depression, believing gender bias in favor of men. And at the same time, it is also pretty noteworthy that toxic masculinity has negative impact on mental and physical well-being of men as well. We'll see some of the factors here that contribute to negativity, as you can see on the screen. And I will specifically like to point out that men who adhere to traditionally masculine cultural norms such as risk-taking, violence, dominance, primacy of work, need for emotional control, desire to win, pursuit of social status, and toxic masculine behavior like self-reliance, seeking power over women, sexual promiscuity, or playboy behavior tend to be more likely to experience psychological problems such as depression, stress, substance abuse, and poor social functioning, or in other words, the hyper-masculine ideas found in toxic masculinity and machismo are nothing but a recipe for silence and violence. Toxic masculinity is also implicated in socially created public health problems such as elevated rates of alcoholism, certain types of cancer among men, and the role of trophy hunting sexual behavior in rates of transmission of HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. Is there anything any of our panelists would like to add on any of these points here?
Jasleen, this is Parmeet. Each of this subject is so vast that it will take probably a whole day or maybe days or years to address each one of them. the negativity, no matter where it is, where it comes from, men or women, is equally detrimental to the gender. It's detrimental to men when there's a negativity around. It's detrimental to women's health as well. So what do we do as responsible citizens, or women in this case, or men? We promote what are the good causes that are good for the society as a whole. For example, in India, obviously, there's a lot of women suppression over there. Women abuse. I happened to see something very disturbing last week, where women's hands were actually cut off because she didn't bring enough dowry. So
that's too bad to hear.
It's very, very disturbing. So, we are just talking about negativity. There's a lot of cruelty attached with these issues. So what is one to do? We've got to educate women. We have to empower them. We cannot be a stigma ourselves. Women actually promote more stigma than men do. In the society, if a woman is victimized, most people are going to blame, even women will blame women, not somebody who's actually who was accused of committing something like a heinous crime. It's something that we as a gender need to change. Something, and I've always sort of hammered on that issue, that women have to change. Where women have changed, they have attained that equality. Like Joanne said, with education, with the coming in a different field. Like in Dr. Japra's field, there's no gender inequality. There's a cardiologist probably making more money than Dr. Japra. Japra should be complaining on that one too. So I think the responsibility of that gender equality and all these issues, I think more lie on women themselves to get to that point A to point B. We got to work towards equality and more positivity among our own gender as well, and support the causes and support the legislative bodies that are going to make the laws that are going to be beneficial to us as women as well. Like in India, triple talaq was one of the law that just passed. I think it was last year. I didn't see many women posting that on their Facebook or their Instagram or their Twitter, complimenting on that issue. We as a women, we need to support any causes of action, any piece of legislation that's been passed that's helpful to us. But I just don't see that. Women will sit there, post something selfie, but would forget this issue has been ongoing for centuries. India was way behind in doing that. So now finally, when somebody had a courage to do, hardly any women supported that or even complimented. They ignored it. More men posted that than women did. So,
that was, I think, one of the part of the women's rights, and they got it. And you pointed out, correct, it wasn't broadcasted so much, it wasn't probably accepted so much by the society. And there is this whole set of more women rights that you see that I'm sharing here. And the feminist movement has it on their agenda, and some of them have really been achieved. So there has been a big success on that, like right to vote, right to maternity leave, enter contracts. I think some of these rights have been achieved, whereas some of them, like earning equal pay or protection from rape, access to legal abortions, protection from domestic violence and sexual harassment. And some of these other rights may still be, in the process of coming to their proper form, where women can, say with pride that, I have all these rights and I am at par with a man. And sometimes when you talk too much about rights, you are considered a radical female. And some of the people think that what a radical female is, someone who believes that society is fundamentally a patriarchy in which men dominate and oppress women. Women who become prostitutes are forced into it by a pimp, human trafficking, poverty, drug addiction, or trauma such as a child abuse. And no woman gets whole ever again thereafter. I would like to open the floor here Any comments on what a radical female would be, in your opinion?
I can start with that. So, I think whenever you ask for any right, actually, so these things do come up. Basically, in today, especially today, the women don't need your flowers. What they are looking for, actually, so they are looking for the basic human rights. That's what we have failed up to now, actually, to provide them the equal opportunity, equal pay, and all the whatever we mentioned. And whenever anybody asks, actually, so this is the tendency, yes, this is the kind of tradition, actually, say historically, actually, so we blame them, we call them many names, actually, so it happens every day. And we have to take a look on the history, what happened in the past, right, what happened, because it took a long time for the women to have a right to vote. And also education is very important. Whenever sometime, actually, so instead of providing the education, some people are trying to take the education back. And I'll give you the example, current example, international example, that the girl named Malala Yousaf in Pakistan. Why she was targeted? Actually, because they want to deny her the education, right to have a right to education. Not only provided because she was going to school, actually, so they did some of these radicals, actually, so they were trying to impose. They were trying to deny their right to have education. If you go Somalia, at least take a look in the Somalia, and there was I think like a few hundred girls were kidnapped from the schools to entertain some of the fighters, those who were fighting one of the movement. And there are even the laws, actually, so we have to take a look. Even 26 countries, I was looking on the number, they have the martial rape is legal in 36 countries. And so I think all these needs need the change, because whenever we ask for the change, actually, so then some people, some section of the society, actually, so they will try to name it many things. And even like in today's example, like what happened in the lab, like in our community, whenever anybody asks for right thing, actually, so they will call you radical, they will ask you gadar, and so they will ask you so many names, actually. I think that basically what needs to be done today, the women need the basic rights, basic human rights. That's what the necessity. And I have seen the shift. Although we can see the shift, actually, so in the US, but that shift has to be all the other countries too. Like in the Iran, actually, like the women cannot even travel without the permission of the male. In Saudi Arabia, even if the women get detained, and she cannot even come out of the prison without the permission from the male. And all these, actually, because end of the day, these are the females too. What is happening around the world? And take a look at what is happening in the China. What is happening to the females of the bigger Muslim ladies in the China? So that is a human rights violation too, actually, because today is the day, actually, so we have to raise the voice of the 3 million people, those who are sitting in the concentration camp, because these are the females too. And there's a genocide is happening. They are forcibly, actually, so there are like too many. There are human rights violations happening. That needs to be stepped. Like all the voice of all the people, those who cannot speak, we have to be their voice. That's what we have to do. Actually, so that's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Very nice point. And I think that's the objective of the Women Empowerment event as well. What are you trying to say something, Parmeet?
No, I was going to applaud Suki Chahal for bringing that issue. It's much needed. It's much needed right now. We all, we need to bring that up into open. Media is actually not reporting all of this stuff. Media is actually suppressing these issues. So because we have a social media platform at our disposal, I think as a women, and as me, as a responsible citizen, I think it's our right to actually bring those issues in the open, so more people can know about it, and that they can oppose it and call out the wrongdoers, call out those people who are violating human rights, and especially women and children. We women care about children so much. There are a lot of children being victims of they're in concentration camps right now, in China and in many other countries.
Absolutely. And also, it is not okay whenever we see any kind of abuse. It is not okay to let it happen, because somebody has to step up. And in this country, we have a luxury. We have all the rights. Even the women has all the rights. Somebody has to exercise this one. in our community sometime actually, so we compromise. No, we don't want to do this actually, because some, like today there will be a violation of small rights, the women rights. Tomorrow they will do multiple. That's a chain reaction. As I said earlier,
Absolutely.
today we have an opportunity to be the voice of the people, those who are voiceless. The people I just mentioned sitting in the China's concentration camps and around the world actually. So atrocities happening on the female. This is the platform actually. So we have to be their voice.
So Parmeet, thank you so much, Sukiji. I want to add to a few points what you mentioned, and thank you so much for bringing. During my campaign, actually, we have seen young children. They are married to 43-year-old men, and they are forcibly converted into other faith, and against their will and against their thing. And in fact, in America, we have the power to change that. We can enforce a lot of rule on the countries. But very sad to see this part, the people, those who are involved and those who have the power, they don't even touch that, because this is the same country who is supporting them directly or indirectly. And
that is correct.
And this is where exactly we need to end this brutal politics stuff, and we need to put the human being first, and we need to work for the human being and not for any politics interests.
No, I agree, Ritesh. You've done a great job at exposing a lot of these issues in the open and on your platform, and we would love to see you sometimes in 2024. Come back and redo your project. We would love to support you. It's International Women's Day or any other social platforms like this. I think our number one responsibility is to promote equality, fairness, independence for everyone, all women, not just women around us, my friend Jasleen or Kulvinder or somebody else. But everybody, and especially those who are victims of sexual abuse or victims of human rights violation, like in China or in many other Middle Eastern countries, as Suki pointed out. They cannot go out shopping without a man. They cannot drive without permission of a man. So if you are going to do women empowerment, that is, to me, you have to expose these violations of human rights. I would say women are not even getting basic rights. Right. So we've got to be their voices. I agree. We've got to expose the people who are against giving women the equal rights and against women empowerment. We have to call them out.
And I have one more thing that comes from this discussion, which is very fertile ground. The tools for change must be provided. It's the same story as give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but give the fishing pole and he will have food for a long time.
Every day.
The tools for change lie in the skills of conflict resolution and how to navigate through the very difficult waters of change. And I would suggest that may help some to become more empowered, giving them that opportunity to learn how.
Absolutely. We need to create a force behind our legal system who would help women, and I would say many non-profit organizations are already on. You are a part of one of them, and there are several others. So I think that's some of the key points we focused as a part of the women empowerment movement, and I will like to move quickly on to the next section, which is the pandemic. And all of us are hit by pandemic, and from the dot-com burst to 9/11 to the 2008 financial crisis to the 2020-2021 COVID-19 pandemic, disruptions have changed our thought process and life and have obstructed digital strategies. Pandemic may not have been on the contingency list, but the playbook for resiliency and business continuity stands, and crisis management has now been on the front burner for a while, as we have seen that the pandemic's merciless march has taken away hundreds of thousands of lives and has wreaked havoc on several businesses and rattled the industries.
When traditional channels and operations are impacted by the outbreak, the value of digital channels, products, and operations becomes immediately obvious, and of course, the roadmap should have enough space to maneuver and detour for emerging business needs and as external events unfold. With this, I'm now going to open the floor for a related question. Some people fret about the cultural aspect of remote work. Some believe that crisis should be turned into an opportunity, like making sure that sufficient computing firepower is there to support business operations as well as customers. Many corporates have accelerated the deployment or expansion of digital capabilities such as remote health monitoring and self-service features, a virtual Zoom tech bar, and more that were on the deck but overnight became essential tools for enabling work. A brilliant example would be Autodesk's Help Bot, a virtual assistant housed in Slack that answers frequently asked work from home questions. So, dear panelists, how have you gotten your arms around the challenge? Share your pandemic lifestyle and sweeping perspective changes around the new paradigm.
Jasleen, let me share you one interesting story actually, because every crisis has an opportunity. We know actually, so this is a very depressing time we are going through, but we have to think on the positive side. In March or April, in Punjab, there was a curfew. In Ludhiana, it was a whole Punjab was shut down. There was a curfew because of the pandemic. And there was some people around the world, actually, so those who were willing to help the people, especially the migrant people in Punjab, those who had a very limited resources, actually, especially to survive. Then there was a guy from New Jersey, his name is Anil Monga. He reached out to me. He said, like, so I want to help, but I cannot help because there is a curfew and nobody is listening. I had to reach out to the DGP Punjab and then the Commissioner of Ludhiana Police, and I was able to help through the technology actually. So we were able to do the Zoom calls with these people and so put together whole process together. To make a short story, they have also covered me on the CNN on this story. During the pandemic time, this organization was able to serve almost 4 million meals. We are not talking about the 4,000 or 40,000. We are talking about the 4 million meals, cooked meal in Ludhiana or also in the surrounding area. The advantage was to us, actually, it was a digital. The digital, we did not have that gap, and we were able to take the advantage of the technology. We were able to communicate, and we were able to pretty much calculate every day that we will be serving the 40,000 food or 50,000. And that was the advantage. I think sometimes the disruption in the technology is good, actually, because until there's a disruption, we don't really look for the solution. During the pandemic, the good thing is actually because the digital divide is coming together, the whole world is coming together. That's the one thing actually I want to share with you guys.
Wonderful.
So, Jasleen, I want to share that I think this has a positive part as well as a negative part. So, positive part was parents as well as workers. They are able to spend more time with their family, and they have formed a more bond. I can tell you, because in the United States, the work style is. But at the same time, this story is true for the technology people, those who are working from home or in technology companies. But those on the hospitality, restaurants, and other businesses, they impacted very badly. And especially here, when we look into the unemployment number, the women, they are impacted the most here, where unemployment is much higher for the woman as compared to the men here. And those who are not able to cope up with the technology, or those who are not able to survive because they need to be present there for the jobs, what they are doing. So overall, actually, plus side and the minus side. But what Sukichi said, that we have to learn, we have to go, we have to move forward, and we need to. And I'm happy to see that things are moving in the positive direction. But at the same time, very sad to see with this pandemic, 500,000 people lost their life in the United States, and millions across the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, great stories, real-time examples, and we are also talking about how technology helps in real-time global issue detection and remediation, especially with the aid of artificial intelligence. ops, machine language, centers of excellence, and online learning platforms. And through your nonprofit as well, I think, Sukhi, you were able to deliver a lot on the digital learning systems. Would you like to say something about it?
No, I think this technology is going to play a very important role. And we have, since we live in the Silicon Valley, and so we can understand what is happening around us. But that somehow, actually, so that there has to be a balance, actually. So we want to make sure even the other community, other country, those who are not developed country, they should not be left behind. Although we are able to communicate, we want to make sure, actually, so somehow we have to help these people too. But on this side, although, again, I'm gonna go back to the China, we have done very good, actually, as a US, actually, on the quantum technology and also AI and also various other technology. We have done very well on the US side. But somehow the kind of talent India has, and even especially in that talent, actually, so I can see there's a lot of female, especially the girls, the new girls from the college, from the engineering college are coming and participating in that one. Somehow we are not able to take advantage of that. That relationship between India and the US, we have to work together, actually. So otherwise China is taking a huge advantage on the artificial intelligence, and they are using these artificial intelligence to cause the human rights violation within the country and also going to the other countries too. So that's why, actually, whatever we see the technology, we have to make sure, actually, so that should be used in the long run, not to create a human rights violation. So that's the only thing I want to say.
Yeah, and to do that, we've got to make sure that we have the right lawmakers that we send over to make the laws that are going to help us in the long run.
Yeah, those were all nice points, and I like to throw your focus. I like to have your focus on feminism and technology. We have seen Emma, who is a digital assistant that resembles digital humans and is built using IBM Watson technology by Replica, an Auckland-based developer. And as you see, there are a lot of other virtual assistants here in daily use. We see Alexa, Cortana, and a lot of people use the Google Maps, and you have the female voice there. And while we see all these females as assistants or customer service representatives, we also see some negativities in technology. The manosphere, as you know, is a collection of websites, blogs, and online forums promoting emphasized masculinity, hostility towards women, strong opposition to feminism, and exaggerated misogyny, and has been associated with online harassment, mass shootings, and other acts of violence, and has been implicated in radicalizing men into committing violence against women. So these were some pluses, minuses, and some observations here. And since we are in an online lifestyle due to pandemic, I like to focus on some ergonomic health tips, in terms of the neutral body posture, and we should be taking breaks. We have the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look away at least 20 feet or at least 20 seconds. We have doctors here. Any word from them before we move on? All right, if not, then we'll move on to women and financial investments. Moving on to the securities market, we see that different people have different risk profiles, and that's how they determine how a smart portfolio should be built, whether they should buy or they should sell. What are the recent trends? The bullish? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Ritesh, would you like to take something up on the financial securities side? How do you look at the market?
Thank you, Jasleen. Actually, today we have seen the beautiful run on the technology side, what Sukhi described. Last, I can say, after pandemic, the companies like Zoom, Microsoft, and all the companies on the technology, they did very well. At the same time, actually, the oil and other industries, restaurants and resorts and everything, they got hit. But after the medicine which came in around November 2020, things have started picking up on the oil industry side and many other. Recently, you see the lot of turmoil on the market because since the economy is picking up, yield curve is rising, and the people are thinking the lot more, I can say, inflation is going to come in, especially with $1.9 trillion which is coming out. So what I mean to say, basically, in this time, we have to keep our portfolio very neutral, where we need to have a technology focus as well as all this other oil and all the airlines and all those things. No doubt is a risky debit, but I think that has a lot of room to grow because it has fallen a lot because of the pandemic. At the same time, I can say I see the professional traders, they play in any market. Yeah, they are always bullish. If the market is falling down, they play on the negative stock. If the market is going up, they play on the positive stock. And any situation they win. So I can say that if you are not a professional trader in this thing, I will not tell you to put your hand, especially the bitcoins and all those things which is coming out, which does not have any regulation. And in the Congress, the people, they are talking about the bitcoins and they want to put some regulation there. They want to have the disclosure of the name who are holding it. The time the regulation will come in, there will be some hit, because recently many people, they are saying is going to go from 50,000 to 100,000 and $450,000. And I can tell you, I have no opinion how far it will go, but at the same time, this is completely unregulated right now. And as soon as the regulation will come in, we can see the real value of this.
That was wonderful. Those were great insights. Wilke, a quick question for you. There was a TikTok video. A woman was asked whether you would take one Bitcoin or whether you would take a $200 bill. And we all know the answer is obvious. What would you say about it? Any thoughts?
Just one Bitcoin. Yeah.
So on the screen, as you see, one Bitcoin, the screenshot was taken at a point in time, of course, and the rates keep changing. So it's about $50K, and we have other cryptocurrencies as well, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, and EOS. And as you see, people are benefiting from the blockchain and getting the block rewards here. We have the miner's reward for successfully completing one block on the right-hand side of the screen here. And again, we come to a discussion point here, So the fact check is, for the think tank Center for Economic Policy and Research, Bitcoin aristocrats will fuel social division and populism through extreme wealth inequality. So the discussion point here is Bitcoin citadels or Bitcoin forts umbrella is a vision of the future in which Bitcoin becomes so valuable that hodlers or the holders of the Bitcoin become lords, quite literally defending their coins in castles. That really at some point in time will become the mark of the elite, and they will try to do anything to shield. In the picture, I can see someone who resembles to an animated character we used to see in the childhood, someone like a He-Man with a sword or a Superman, and he's just trying to keep people away because he's holding a valuable possession like a Bitcoin, and on the left you see the Bitcoin mining is going on. So, we'll someday reach that point in time. Anyone, any views on this? Do you believe in this? Do you see this coming?
So, Jasleen, I just want to say one comment and then I will shut up on this. So, basically, when we look into the Bitcoin, the people, they believe that in the long term, the bonds will be replaced by the Bitcoin. But at the same time, today, when we look into the Bitcoin, there are a lot of negative side and a lot of positive side. And today, when we look into the Janet Yellen, she was talking about she want to put some regulation across around the Bitcoin, where they want the disclosure of the name, because there are a lot of I can say anti things are happening, or basically how the money movement is happening across the world, because and all this terrorism and all those things, they can misuse this currency very well, and that's the reason why actually they. My feeling is, and my thoughts are in this one, and I'm sure not to follow this thing. There will be some surprises coming with the Biden organization, because on the Congress side, I'm seeing that a lot of anxiety is developing the way this currency is going up, and it does not have any regulation across. And the companies like Tesla and those things, they are accepting the Bitcoins right now. And but some regulation will come in, but afterwards it becomes a lot more safer and use this.
So protecting so much as a mark of saving their royalty or something, that stage may not come, with change in the laws and regulations. That was very well put. I really appreciate Ritesh. And before we end it up, it is needless to mention that there are security vulnerabilities, frauds, and risks that arise all the time. Not only in the financial sector, but also in the technology space. And as the fintech combines, the Federal Trade Commission and the United States Computer Emergency Readiness Team, US CERT, has warned of scams tricking people into revealing sensitive information or donating to fraudulent charities or causes related to coronavirus. Threat actors continue to prey on misinformation and fear to trick unwitting users into clicking links or opening attachments that claim to offer information about mutated virus, vaccine, or a cure, or some other information of interest. There have been new phishing scams piggybacking on COVID-19, like the one that purports to the usage of AI to protect users from the coronavirus. Cyber criminals are also embedding QR codes into phishing email online or via social media. These promotions have emerged as a new favorite attack method, and when you scan these fraudulent QRs, they take you into a fake website that asks you to provide login, payment, or other personal information, or tricks you into downloading a malicious program onto your mobile device. As you see, there are a lot of malwares in the system. These are some of the examples that I have provided here: the Emotet, the Loki bot, the Remcosrat, TrickBot, Formbook, and how the systems are hacked. And these are some of the real life examples, especially in the cryptocurrency world, where we see the funds being stolen, taking into the technology through evil contract hack, or an evil jar attack, or an evil spell, and several millions of dollars have been compromised. And with that, actually, I would like to wind down. Bottom line is that we all need to consider how effectively we should manage our new digital risks, both in our personal and professional lives, to help mitigate emerging threats while maximizing the opportunities that come with adopting digital technologies and new operating model. With this, I, Jasleen Khanuja, would like to thank each one of you for your benign presence and remarkable participation. A huge round of applause for our wonderful panelists. I would also like to give full credits and warm hugs to our wonderful organizers, Ms. Parmeet Randhawa, Kevalia, and Sharan Gill, who thoughtfully changed the format of this event to suit to the pandemic way of life. Look forward to sharing the event highlights on New India TV soon. Till next time, goodbye and stay safe. Any final words, anyone? And please go ahead and add those.
Yes, I would like to acknowledge Alka Bhatnagarji. She's also attended this, and we were going to get certification for all participants and the panelists. And we will either send them through WhatsApp or email it to them. And I also like to acknowledge Shazia from Pakistan, Shazia Sultana. She's from Pakistan, Karachi, very inspirational person here. And she also has joined us, I think, via telephone. Acknowledging all panelists again, and we are honored to have all of you, and we really appreciate your time and input. We learned a lot from all the panelists today. And again, closing statement is be the voice of those who cannot be voiced for themselves. And that goes for global, all regions, not only the USA, but internationally. Thank you, everyone, again.
Thank you so
Wonderful.
much, everyone.
Thank
And
you.
have a good one.
Thank you, Jasleen. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा